Good evening, everybody, and happy Easter. I am Melissa Amos, and we are here tonight for episode 4 of Soul Speak. So, as usual, I am just gonna wait for a few of you to come and join me live. And when you are live, please drop a comment in the comments box so I can see that you are watching. While I'm waiting for some of you to join, I just wanted to talk about what we're going to be discussing tonight. So as you know, every week we discuss something different. We see what comes up, see what's going along in the collective, see what you guys have been talking to me about. And there's been a bit of a theme about soul retrieval, and it keeps coming up in my sessions. And some of you may know I have recently become a soul transformation therapist, and soul retrieval plays a really important role in there. And for me, it's been bringing up a lot of hi Matt. For me, it's been bringing up a lot of interesting theories and thoughts about soul retrieval, because certainly what I've been taught and what I have experienced about soul retrieval often grows and merges and changes as you know, as we do more work in these aspects and as we have more experience in them. So I would love to know what your thoughts are about soul retrieval, if you've ever had one, if you think you need one, if you're like, what on earth is soul retrieval? Just let me know where you are with it, what your thoughts are. Okay, Jill, I'll catch you soon. What your thoughts are, what you want to know about it, what your burning questions are, and I will give you my interpretations and my experience of this. Grab your questions in there, and if you know anybody who will be interested in this, then feel free to share this live on your groups, on your page, or tag your friends, because I would love to have your buddies on here and to hear from them too. So just wet to the mouth, just a moment. Lemon and ginger today, if you're wondering. So let's start with what my interpretation is on soul retrieval, and let's get some of the myths out the way. So for me, let's start from the beginning. For me, your soul can't necessarily be broken. For me, your soul is that aspect of us that is connected to source. For me, our soul is that part of us that is always whole, that is always connected, that we always have through lifetimes. So when we talk about soul retrieval, what are we going on? So Kat just said, I'm not so sure about what soul retrieval is. So for me, from my experience, what can often happen is as we are going through life, we start to accumulate beliefs. We can often go through traumatic times. We can often, what she said, as you know, I'm doing a course on the purpose of the soul journey. What does it mean, soul retrieval? Okay. So as we go through life, we often experience lots of things. And sometimes we have something come up in our life where there's a real before and after moment. Sometimes we have experienced a trauma, or we have, somebody said something to us, or we've experienced heartbreak, or, grief, or been in an accident, or, something that can be quite big, or a set of beliefs have been imposed upon us. And what can happen in that moment is a part of us, and we hear it in our language, I've never been the same since. I felt I lost a part of me when. Right? We've heard people say that. Maybe it's come up for you. Let me know. And from my experience, what happens then is an aspect of us, a part of us, a part of our, maybe our personality, maybe our wholeness, maybe our, our God-given part of us gets removed or separated from us. So sometimes we can hear about soul retrieval or soul loss or soul fragmentation. These are all different words, but essentially is the same thing. Now, I've often had an issue with the way that it's described, because it kind of implies that you're not whole anymore. I mean, that was the impression I got, that you could imagine that you are, you know, that this is me, I'm a whole being, and then as I lose part of me, as I lose some of my soul, some of it goes away, and therefore I'm not whole anymore. But that's not quite what I've experienced. So what's come up for me is often when I'm doing sessions with people, especially in the Akashic Records, is that we'll find that something comes up, maybe a belief has come up, where, or, you know, we find that we are moving forward in our journey, and then suddenly that journey comes to a stop. We find ourselves sabotaging ourselves, or we can't find the voice to show up and do something. And what I am sometimes shown is that there is a part of us that has been lost, left behind. Better way of putting this, kept for safekeeping. So it's almost like we've experienced something, and there's part of us that doesn't want to be damaged or doesn't want to be broken, goes, oh no, not for me, I'm gonna sit over here, I'm gonna sit somewhere safe so that this cannot be damaged. So for example, I was doing a session with somebody recently, and a lot of stuff was coming up about hope, how she didn't feel that she could that she had any hope in her life. And it turned out that there was a series of incidents and a series of beliefs that led her to take her hope and put it somewhere else. It was like, no, to experience hope is foolish, it's blind hope, it's really bad. Yeah, Max. So Max is a safety maneuver, exactly. So in her case, her hope went, I'm just going to stay here, because she keeps wrapping me around, you know, all of these limitations, all of these beliefs, all of these expectations that aren't a part of me, and it was all connected to this hope, so it was removed from her. And what we can do, and I'll take you through a few steps on how we can bring this back, is what we can do is we can go and retrieve this, we can go and meet it, we can go and invite it to come back into us. Now, there's a few things that are quite important here. That, so like Max said, that it's a safety maneuver. Sometimes we will lose or, you know, remove this part of ourselves, or that part of ourselves would be removed. So, you know, you might have heard it when people have had an accident, for example, and they're like, I've never been the same since, I've never felt the same since. It's almost like we go this trauma, sometimes maybe we even have like an out of body experience for a moment or something, and then something goes off and like, I'm just gonna stay here. And, you know, it's almost a frightened aspect of us that has gone and moved, and we'll talk about where it goes in a minute. Or, you know, even people who have been victims of abuse, who report that when they've been in that situation, they remove themselves. They're like, I've become apart from my body. And sometimes that part, often, especially when we're very vulnerable, if, you know, we're a child, or you know, we're in a vulnerable position, we take ourselves as this safety measure to stop that part of us getting hurt. And then we go on with our lives, and you know what happens is we find coping mechanisms, and we find something, you come back to this, like something's been removed, we find something to fill that gap. And that gap can be all sorts of things. That gap can be, you know, numbing behaviors. That gap can be, I'm going to be big and brave, you know, like, you know what it's like. We put things in to help us cope and to help us, you know, get on with things without the need for that, which can often be fine until we get to a point where we think, this feels like there's something missing. I'm finding that I can't move on with my life. I'm finding that I feel weak here, or I have a blockage here. And that is when we are, we can start to explore about bringing this aspect back and returning it to us. And Matt said, is it similar to disassociation? Yeah, I guess so. Maybe dissociation is is the psychological term for like a soul loss, where we are literally dissociating from that part of us. And this isn't a bad thing. This is something that we do as humans to try and protect ourselves. But it should be a temporary measure. And this is why often in tribal cultures, or in cultures where we are more connected to spirit, when something traumatic happens, we will go to the witch doctor, or we'll go to the shaman, and they'll help us bring this back and help us come whole. This is maybe why things like energy medicine work so well, because it's bringing us back, bringing ourselves back into our wholeness. We're recognizing that when we, lose a leg or lose an arm, we're losing more than a leg and an arm. We're losing like literally a part of ourselves. People who have been through therapies and chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and often and people feel like really sick with this, that often that they can dissociate, and then when they're in recovery, it's often very important to bring that aspect back to us. But here's the thing, is sometimes that aspect needs to have a healing or be reassured that it comes back, so that when we are bringing this aspect back into us, it's coming in a way that is safe, in a way that is whole, and in a way that is healing. Because you just want to make sure that, you're ready for it, and that you're bringing back in the whole and healed aspect of that. So hopefully all that makes sense. Please let me know if you have any questions, because I will carry on waffling on. Okay, so where does this part of us go? So every time I have done a soul retrieval or have met that aspect of us, it always seems to be held in a very safe space. In shamanic traditions, this is often found in the underworld. And this is the place that we will, and the underworld isn't like, I don't know, there's all sorts of beliefs around there. Hi, Rebecca. There's all sorts of beliefs around that. This isn't bad. This is, the subconscious mind. This is the, the place where our ancestors reside. This is like going deep into Mother Earth. Often in shamanic traditions, if we are to go journeying into the underworld, we might go down a tree, or we might go down a burrow, and we go into Earth, who is healing and warm, and like this big warm hug. And often this is where our soul aspect is held and it is kept. Now, what does it look like? For me, it often gets shown to me, and spirit work with what we know, but it often gets shown to me as like an orb, or a ball, sometimes like a crystal ball, in varying colors and shapes and densities and sizes. So that's often how it comes to me, but it can also be shown as an animal, often wounded. So it might come in a child's, or as a child figure. It might come as a wounded person. It might come as a figure or as an archetype. It might look like. It might even be a crystal or a book, or even like a memory. But it's gonna come as a form, and inside that. So for me, whenever I have been, like for example, if it gets shown to me as a wounded child, then I would get that intuition that wounded child needs holding and loving and maybe healing and being able to feel safe before it comes and returns. Because somewhere inside this inner child, there will be that spark, that creation, that light that is part of you, that is part of, you know, what's ready to be returned. So Max said buried. Yes, you could say buried. And I quite like that, because it's like, you know, if we have a crystal and our crystal breaks or gets damaged, what do they say? Put it in the earth and let the earth hold her and repair her. So yes, for me, when I journey to retrieve the soul, a part of the soul, it will come in some sort of symbolic form. Yes, Matt. And for me, and maybe this is how I work, and again, let me know if you have experienced this. For me, it will come as how it appears to me will give me a clue as to what needs doing with it. Okay, and then there's various things that we can do to bring it back. So you can work with that aspect, and often I will bring some healing to this. You know, sometimes one way I was taught about soul retrieval is to go into this almost angelic operating theatre. So you come in and you lie the client, like you take them through a meditation, you lie the client on a bed in the meditation, and you, in this big white room, or at least that's how it was appeared to me, this big white room, and then you can take the soul part and, scanning the body, find where it is in the physical body or in the energetic body where that soul aspect has removed. And often, so for me, when I had a soul retrieval on myself, it was very clear where in my body it was, like in this aspect that was like the entry or the exit point, and that's where I could feel that weakness. And I kid you not, it was instant, where I'd got in and my shoulder just kind of clenched up, and I was like, all right, something going on there, because that injury hadn't come back for a long time. And we did the soul retrieval, and I felt a physical difference instantly in my shoulder when that was healed. Anyway, I digress. So we can go into this almost spiritual operating theatre, and we can take this aspect. So say it has come as a form of a wounded child. So I might talk to that wounded child. I might reassure her and let her know that she is safe. I might do some hands-on healing, or, you know, work with the crystals in there, or mantra, or pull energy out, or do what I need to do in order for her to feel safe. And then we would, working with your guides, like your underworld or your lower world guide, I would come and I would invite that aspect to come back into our body. And sometimes from there, like I said, if you've been with me from the beginning, sometimes if we've had an aspect of us removed, something has come back in to replace it. So there might be a density in there, a block, a pattern, a behavior that then may need to be released, healed, removed, unraveled, to make space for this aspect of us to come back in. So I might have to do that. We might have to do that before we come in. And then we can welcome this soul aspect back in our body and reintegrate. So that is a case of, feeling it come in, just allowing it to move through, because we don't want to leave it necessarily as a part. We will want it to integrate with our being, so that we can start. Why are we doing this? To help us become more whole, to help us make behavioral changes, to help us to overcome blocks, to step into our power. Because you can look at as a soul loss as a power loss. You can look as a soul loss as a drain even. And, you can even have soul loss when we have cords and connectors with other people. So last week we were talking about cords and releasing cords, and I've certainly experienced this when I've been doing Akashic work with people, when we've been doing cord removal, that we get to the other side and there's a part of our soul, like that cord has been so big and strong that there's that part of our soul isn't in the underworld. That part of our soul is in somebody else's heart or somebody else's space. And then it's a case of retrieving that, bringing that back, bringing healing to them so that they don't have a loss. They don't feel that they have a loss, you know? And we do this. We say, you know, my heart goes out to you, or I'll give you a piece of my heart, or he took a piece of me with him. We say these things, and you know, our language is very. Our language is very symbolic about what's actually going on. Matt says, is the symbol itself or a combination, your memory, thinking, feeling, or emotion, etc. included? Yeah, I think that in that soul aspect that we're returning, there can be a whole load of things. It can be like an archetype or a particular emotion that's in there. It can hold a memory, and sometimes these things need to be resolved or healed before it comes back. Because I suppose on the one hand you could think that, well, if it's a part of my soul, I want it back. I'll want it back because it's mine. But just changing that thought to maybe it left me for a reason might just help you understand more about how to safely bring it back and integrate it back. So hopefully that makes sense. So please, any questions, drop them in the chat. If you're with me, drop it in the chat, let me know. Because I would quite like to do something. This is slightly different. I'm not sure that this is quite soul retrieval, but it's certainly about power. Actually, let's come to that later. Let's carry on just what happens with when we come back. Matt said a loving reason to keep us safe. Yes, you know, when my belief is when what do they say, when the teacher is when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I think it is the same for this. At some point, you know, you'll be coming to get a healing. Something will be coming up and you're like, what's going on? And there'll be something that goes, oh, okay, like there's a reason, like there's a resonance, a synchronicity happens that helps you understand that this needs to be returned. So, you know, if it's showing up for you, it's probably ready to come back. But sometimes we might need to do some forgiveness, or some cord balancing, or some, you know, healing, or some reassurance to bring it back so that it is, you know, so that we're bringing back into us something that is conducive to our strength and to our power, because we want to sit in our power. Now, let's go with this. If part of what has left us is our power, because maybe in a past life we were some like big powerful being that maybe abused our power or couldn't be trusted with the power because that power was you know, fed by ego, or you know, got caught up in things that we do. And so we decided at that point, I'm going to remove my power because that is not good for humanity, or that is not good for spirituality. Sometimes we don't want to necessarily bring that back when it's like, you know, if it's going to bring all those connotations back with it. So in that case, we might want to cut the cords to the experiences of power tripping, or from, you know, power loss, or whatever, you know, whatever's going on around it. And that doesn't always have to be conscious. Sometimes we can do that very symbolically. And certainly with the soul transformation therapy intervention, there's aspects that we can do which are super simple and super powerful, just to help remove whatever's going on around that sense. So we have integrated this soul part of us back. We've brought it back. We've received that. Then what? This is what I love about what we discovered in the soul transformation therapy, because then it is about integrating it, about healing that, about bringing that energy forward so that we can use it for good, so that we can use it for positive. So from here, we then take it up into the angelic realm, into the realm of soul, into the realm of of infinite potential, into the realm of manifestation, and we can take it up into the upper world. And from here we can receive, you're in this space, you're beyond time and space, we're beyond kind of human the restraints that humans have, shall we say that. We're in this space of higher wisdom, and from here we can bring a higher wisdom to this. We can raise the energy of this. We're bringing our whole self and our whole awareness up to it, so that then we can see, this is the realm of manifestation. We can then create down in the middle world, which is where we are. This is the living world. We can then see us acting and behaving and responding and creating from that space of integration, from that new us, from that part of us, from that wholeness of us that now holds that integrated part that was once lost. Because we might have spent the last 20, 30, 40 years or even 10 lifetimes behaving in a certain way without that aspect of us. And then suddenly it's like being given a new tool and going, there we go, get on with it. And it's like, well, I don't know what I do with this. So from this realm of creation, we can beam that down and go, okay, how do I look now? How do I behave now? How do I respond? What is it like to be walking, talking, and living and breathing with this part of me now integrated and healed and whole? And then that is what pulls us back down, so that we stand here integrated and whole. And then we notice the changes. So like I said, when I had mine, I really felt a physical change in my physical body. But then we start to respond differently. We start to respond to others differently. Our self-talk can be different. We find ourselves stepping up. Okay, we know we're on one. We have attracted Glory, K-O-D. Glory, thank you for joining us. She is now spamming everybody and wanting to give everyone a reading. So don't. I blocked her. Okay. They say you've made it when you start getting that. Anyway. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. And I would like to, because I've got to finish a bit early today. Hey Zara. Hey Max and Aiden. Yes, I've got to finish a little bit earlier today because I am running a workshop in half an hour. So what I would really like to do is a really nice simple exercise with everybody here that's joined us, where you can, this isn't going to be a soul retrieval because I don't think this is the time nor the space to do that. But just a really simple exercise to bring back our power, to help, because I have to say this as well, is sometimes we touched on this last week, that sometimes other people make us feel so good or make us feel safe or really help us with something. And when we're open, when we're vulnerable, sometimes we can take aspects of other people. Now, this isn't really soul fragmentation, but it's almost like the light version of it. And if we can keep this part of us, like if we can keep this in check, maybe we are less likely to have a full-on soul fragmentation. So I'm going to take you through this exercise. It's something that you can do every day if you want to. And yeah, it's super simple and super easy. And what we're going to be doing is we are going to be calling any aspects of us that are out anywhere in the cosmos with other people, left something back, that is ready to return, to come in through the light, and anything that is not ours, that is in our energy field, to leave also through the light, healed and whole. So be 5 minutes probably. So get yourselves comfortable. Drop down into your breath, close your eyes, and just feel your body. So just feel your energy body. Just do a little scan from the top of your head and just feel how your energy feels moving down your body. So it's as if you're doing like a scan like you'd see in a sci-fi movie, and just notice if there's any areas that maybe feel weaker or blocked or that's kind of gunky. And just notice, we're not doing anything with it at the moment, we are just noticing. Lovely. And while you're here and you're scanning down, I'm just going to invite you to place or become into the awareness of a beautiful shield that is surrounding you, like a cylinder of platinum light. So just create it or allow it to move all around you. And this is like a cylinder that moves up above your head, up into the cosmos, reaching a beautiful star in the sky. And this cylinder also moves down below you, deep into the earth, also connecting to the platinum earth star in the center of the earth, so that you are standing or sitting here fully suspended in this beautiful platinum light. And this light allows you to feel safe and holds your sacredness, but also allows you to be open and aware. Now, I am going to invite you now to just imagine like you are a huge magnet. And this magnet has an on and off switch. And right now you're kind of in neutral. And when you turn the magnet off, any filings, any parts, any aspects that are not yours, that are stuck on your body, that belong to other people or other places or other situations, that are not conducive to your health or to your well-being or to your ascension, as you turn this switch off, they all go flying back out through this beautiful platinum cylinder and return to source. So that's either to the source of where they came from, healed and whole, or to the source of the divine. So just imagine that now, that you're turning that switch off, and all those aspects, they're like tiny little filings of metal, all just go flying back out through the shield, healed and whole, bringing those elements of light back to where they came from. And you can even say in your mind, I now release anything that is not mine, for it to return to source, whole and healed, transmuted and changed for the highest and greatest good of all and everyone connected to us. Lovely. Okay. And then when you're ready, I'm going to invite you to turn the switch on. So as you turn the switch on, you are calling back all aspects of you that are ready to return, that may be in other people, other places, other situations. So once again, imagine like you're turning this magnet on, and now all of those filings are coming back. They are moving through this platinum shield, so they're coming back to you healed and whole and cleansed and replaced. You can use your breath, so go ahead, turn it on, and just say in your mind, I now call back my power. I call back all aspects of me that are ready to return, heal, hold, and complete. And just let that come back. And you might want to do that 2 or 3 times. So breathing in, magnet on, calling all of that back. And as you breathe out, magnet off, just releasing and letting go of anything that isn't yours. Breathing in, magnet on, calling all that lovely stuff back. And breathing out, letting go, and just letting those move through, healed and whole, with no resentment, with no expectation, just returning back to source. And then one last time, breathing in, I call back my power, I call back all aspects of me that are ready to return. And breathing out and just letting go of anything else. Okay, and then when you're ready, just come back into your space. Just do that body scan again. Notice how you feel. Notice if anything has changed. And you can give thanks for the divine guidance that came through today. And I'm going to invite you to stay in that platinum shield, for you can walk and talk and be in this shield all day. Katja said, wow, it felt like a weight has lifted. Brilliant. It's so super simple, and it's something that for a while I did a lot of, especially when I first started doing this work. You're welcome. Especially when I first started doing this work, and I was spending a lot of time, you know, connecting with people and opening up my empathic sides. And, you know, especially when you're doing readings and healings for people, you want to create those connections. You also, you know, want to take people's pain away, right? But you don't want to take it on to yourself. So that was something that you can do every morning and every evening. Do your platinum shield first, and then do this simple exercise. You can even do that at the end if you are working with anyone in counseling and healing and readings, or even like in the office. You know, you can do this. It's a super simple exercise, just to help bring back your power. So hopefully that has helped. If anyone's got any questions or anything that you want to share about that, or any experiences that you may have had with Soul Retrieval, I would love to hear. We've got about 5 minutes left before I'm going to sign off and get prepared for this evening. For those of you that are interested, tonight we are doing a workshop on chord releasing in the Akashic Records. So yeah, that will be, if you needed this, then that will be a deeper exploration of maybe where our chords have been and what to do to retrieve them back. And we'll be going through a really deep meditation journey in your records to help reclaim your power and to release anything that isn't yours, just so we can be all sparkly and new and in our power. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so just to reiterate and to summarize what we've said today, that soul retrieval is something that we can all do. It's often good to go under the guidance of someone else so that you don't get into your own head. But why we would do soul retrieval is if we find that there's been an aspect of us that may be lost, if we feel that we are not our whole self, if we've been through any form of trauma or grief or release where, you know, we hear ourselves say, or we really feel like we're not like the person that we used to be, or we feel like we've lost a part of ourselves. These are all clues that we may have become separated from an aspect of us. Before, we don't just want to go retrieving everything back willy-nilly. We want to just really make sure that we are ready for it, that we've created the space within our being to return. So we've cleared out any debris or any of those patterns that maybe we have put in place to, you know, heal that wound. But before we bring it back, we also want to bring that healing to that aspect, so that we make sure that we bring back the wholeness of it rather than the, you know, all the attachments that come with it. Then once we've done this, we want to bring it up into the creative realms to ensure that as we step forward, we are really intending and creating from that new whole part of us. And then we bring it here into the middle world, into our waking, living, breathing lives, so that we can really show up with more strength and more power and more wholeness. So I hope you enjoyed all of that. I will be back here next week at 7 o'clock for our usual hour. Sorry, this one was a little bit shorter, but it's Easter, so why not? I'll be back here next week, and I think that next week it would be very good to talk about the law of attraction and manifestation, because that keeps on coming up. So if you've got any questions about any of that, then please drop them in the comments here, or send me a message, and I will make sure I talk about that. And at the end of the week, I'll put a little post up on my page. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoyed. And to all of you that commented, I appreciate that. Yes, for law of attraction and manifestation. Yes, awesome. And some of you that are on the live, I will see you tonight for the workshop. Otherwise, good night, God bless, and have a wonderful week ahead. I've been Melissa. Thank you for watching.